Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to start a new YouTube channel today because, well, I've been a mama and wife for 25 years now, and I've always had a garden, and I have done some pretty good gardens in the different houses that I have lived in over the years. And my friends always ask me, Sarah, can you teach me what you're doing? Because your garden's amazing. So I'm just gonna make some YouTube videos and share with you what I do when I garden. And mostly, I'm not scientific about it. I read a lot of books, but I don't remember everything that's in there, and I don't follow everything that's in there. And I'm generally fairly lazy and experimental about gardening. But I'm going to share with you here on this channel how I do garden, and I'm sure that you can adapt it to your zone and your way of doing things. And hopefully you will have lots of success too. So these are my tomato plants that I grew this spring. I have not grown tomato plants since I moved to this new location about 5 years ago. I came from a very wonderful garden that I was very successful with for about 10 years. And when I moved to this location, it was hotter, a little bit of a shorter season, and the soil in my backyard under the grass was really beautiful, but in the little garden bed that was already here, it was gravelly and sandy and it was horrible, and it wouldn't grow anything. So I knew that I needed to amend my soil, and the only way that I do that is through compost. I never buy dirt, and I don't really use fertilizers. So I'm going to tell you a secret right off the bat. The very best gardens that I have ever had, I used rabbit manure in those gardens. Those gardens happened when I had rabbits in my yard, rabbits that I was keeping. And I kind of think that that is just such a wonderful symbiotic relationship to have your garden and your rabbits. You can use a lot of things that grow in your garden that you don't eat to feed your rabbits and lower the cost of raising those rabbits. You can use those rabbits for meat, and those rabbits will then turn around, recycle all of the things that you feed them into fertilizer that you can either compost or you can throw it straight on your garden, right from under the hutch. You can just put it on your garden, and it won't burn the plants like other manures, and it will just make your soil amazing. So when I'm done in here, we'll go outside and we'll take a tour of my different compost piles and the different stages that they are all in. So a little bit about my beautiful tomatoes. I just used those little pellet starters that you pour water on them, they puff up, you put a seed in and put the little greenhouse top on, and then your tomatoes grow. And that's the easiest way I've found to start my seeds. I just place this on a window sill. So in here I have this tomato, Start Rollois. I can't pronounce these, but they're so pretty. And then this one is the Orange Accordion. And they're both from Baker Creek Seeds. I love that company. I've had really good luck with their seeds. They have a beautiful catalog, a great customer service. They've been around for a long time. They really care about their products. And they have heirloom varieties. That's just a very wide variety. Very, very fun items to grow that you can't find anywhere else. So I think the main thing, if you want to grow a garden and you feel like you don't know where to get started, I say just get started, and I think you'll be more successful than you think. I think that's everything I wanted to cover here, so let's go check out my compost beds and we'll talk about how that works. These are some of my beautiful silver fox bunnies. They are wonderfully friendly, beautiful, really good meat producers, good mothers, and they make this beautiful fertilizer. Of course, I give them hay every day, so their little poops, people like to call them bunny berries, they're mixed with hay. And it's fine if they aren't, but this is great for composting. Okay, so here's one of my big compost bins. This is the big one that I have. I designed this one to go between my chicken coop and my quail enclosure, mostly to collect that stuff. But the rabbits ended up making a lot more material than these guys did. Yeah. Hey, girls. So this is mostly rabbit manure mixed with hay and some other little plant material that's gone into it. And this has been here just since, this is March, and I started this last fall, probably in end of summer, like September. And it's not very composted at all. It just looks like hay. And that's the beginning of this. And I will water it, especially in the summer. You want to keep it moist. And I will probably attempt to grow things in this bed this summer. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't like things to go to waste. So probably I'll flatten it out and plant some stuff this summer. What are you guys doing? These are my 4 chickens. One of the challenges you face with composting is that you run out of room often when you have a lot of material. So here's a bin that I've had. I got this for free from someone who moved into a new house and they didn't want this. So I grabbed it. You put the compost in on the top. I really like this one. And then you pull this up and there's your compost on the bottom. And this one's not quite finished, but it's getting there. And it's nice and moist, so that's great. Okay, now this little bed it's sitting on, I started this in 2020, and I literally just put these bricks out along the perimeter that I wanted to expand my garden, because it was originally just this. So I added these bricks over some dirt that was here, and then I started filling in with rabbit manure, hay, leaves, There's some animal parts in here. I know people will say not to compost those, but they actually compost great. And let's dig a little shovelful. This garden I'm really happy with. This one is 4 years old. Okay, are you ready? See how this has just gone black? And there's a worm right here. This is beautiful soil. I should be able to grow my tomatoes in here this year, no problem. And again, this, I didn't buy soil. This didn't come from a store. It wasn't here. I just put things in this bin, in this little empty garden bed. What's that? That looks like a little piece of wood that isn't done. And I can rake through this. And I didn't just let this sit here fallow for 4 years. I've grown sweet potatoes in here. I grew squashes out of here last year. Squash grow really well in an incomplete compost pile. You can put squash just right into your compost pile. It'll grow great. So that's another secret. Okay, I'm gonna have to learn how to use my camera better, but remember when I said that I'm very experimental? Well, I'm always trying to push the envelope with the seasons and get a little bit more out of my garden. And this year, I just had this old window laying around. I didn't end up doing the project that I bought this window for. And I decided to use it for a greenhouse. So it's been laying down on the soil for a couple of weeks. And I sowed some cold weather crops in here. I don't even remember quite what I put in, but some lettuce, some carrots, some mustard greens, things like that. Hopefully I put some cabbages in there. But I checked it today, it was dry, so I watered it this morning. And there's some little baby plants. See if I can find some for you. Right here. It's blurry. There we go. Do you see these little sprouts? They're all over the garden like this. So I'll lift it up, check it out. There's a whole bunch right here. And I'll be watering it at least a couple times a week and just monitoring this situation. But these are cold weather crops, and this is March 2nd. So I planted these in February. Okay, so we're gonna go look at another location that I plan to plant this summer, and I've been putting my rabbit manure into these garden boxes since fall. Okay, so I put these in last fall and started filling them. I had a lot of leaves, and those are on top, just from the trees that were around that I raked. And this, as you can see, it has not composted all the way yet. The farther you get to the bottom, the better. And it's a little moist down there. It could use a little bit of water. And I will plant this spring. I'm gonna put squash out here and sunflowers. Okay, so we'll come back to that and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the garden tour and looking at all my different compost piles. I don't know if you think that's boring, but I get really excited about compost, especially when something grows out of it, or I get to really see how it's turned into soil and how beautiful it is and how well it nourishes my plants. And I just can't reiterate enough that I believe it's the rabbits. I really think that's the key more than any other manure. I mean, I have chickens, I've raised quail, and what other animals have I raised? When I was a gardener, those are the only other two things, but those manures didn't do the same thing for my garden as the rabbits did. So if you are able to have rabbits, or you think that you'd like to do that, I would really, really, really encourage you to raise your own, or maybe find somebody else who raises rabbits and would sell you some of their manure, because it's just fantastic. So before I close out this video, I'll talk to you a little bit about the seeds that I grew in the little window greenhouse outside, because I'm pretty sure that if I don't share that, you're going to ask me. And if you do have some other questions, just go ahead and ask in the comments below, and I might not know the answer, but maybe I will, or I'll tell you my opinion, okay? So I put some stuff out there. This was a free packet of seeds. Wildest winter lettuce. And by the way, I think I'm in zone 5B where I'm at right now. So where you live, some things probably will grow better, because it's hard to grow things where I'm at because of the short growing season. Let's see. These are things I'm planning to grow. I put Brunswick cabbage out there. I've never grown a Brunswick cabbage successfully here because they always go to seed when it gets really hot, so we'll see. I might plant those in July if there's room in my garden, because I usually get it too full. But if I have a spot, I'll put some out in July and then try to grow those through the fall, and I think they'll do better. But I planted Chinese giant leaf mustard, and I just sprinkle these out there, you guys, and some of them will come up and some of them won't. I love these Japanese giant red mustards. They're purple, they're tangy, they taste like wasabi, they're great in a stir fry. Also, Komatsuna Old Tokyo. That's another one of those greens. I guess these take the place of chard for me. Chard is a little bit sour to me, and I really like the mustard greens and the Asian greens better. I think they're more tender and sweeter and spicy, and they just have a lot of wonderful flavor that I enjoy. And then I planted two different kinds of carrots. This is the new Kuroda, Kuroda. This is sugary sweet and fine grained roots, and it's hardy. I purchase seeds that are hardy or cold or heat tolerant a lot of the time, which the catalog will tell you. And then this is the Coral, Koral carrot. It's a little bit short and fat. So that's what I put out there in my little greenhouse. This year I'm going to experiment with growing mullein. There is a cough syrup that I want to try to make with this, but I have to get the plant growing first, and this is kind of a weed. So I might try to find where they grow in my area and harvest some of the blossoms as well, but I'd like to be growing that in my garden. I think you can also use this as a tea for lungs, and I think some people smoke it. I haven't tried that. And I also want to share with you, this is my favorite flower, and I'm very excited to grow these beautiful varieties from Baker Creek, but it's called stalks. And they smell like a clove. You know, that spice that you use in cooking. And on a summer evening when you're walking in your garden, the smell from these is just overpoweringly delicious. So I can't wait to get these started in my garden. I'm also going to try these double sun king sunflowers. Aren't those pretty? And I want to share with you, this was really my success from last year, was this zucchini squash. It's called Zucchino rampicante. This is, and again, my pronunciation's probably wrong, so whatever. I grew it and I ate it, and it's awesome. This is an Italian heirloom squash, and I love this one. I also got it from Baker Creek. And if you don't grow any other squashes near this, you can save your seeds and then it'll make these again, okay? And you don't have to ever buy them. But if you grow two squashes right next to each other, they'll interfertilize when the bees come, and then you don't know what you're going to get. You might get a mystery squash the next year. So if you want to save your squash seeds, just make sure that you isolate that certain squash. But these are wonderful. This squash has been sitting in my house since the end of last summer. I've got a whole bunch of them, and I've been trying to figure out how to eat these squash. Some of my favorite recipes are coconut ginger squash. It's like a mashed squash with coconut milk and ginger. And then I've been making these into savory pumpkin pies and quiches, and my kids come over and they eat them up. So this one was really fun, and my favorite thing about it is that when it's young and green, you just pick it and use it like a zucchini squash. You eat it like a summer squash. But if you miss one and it gets really big and grows this hard shell like a pumpkin, then it becomes a winter squash, and you can store it and just let it sit in a cool, dry area. And this squash is still good. When I cut it open, it's going to be bright orange and delicious, and I'll be able to make a bunch more dishes with these before anything else grows in my garden yet this year. So that was my favorite from last year, and I plan to grow these again along with several other squashes. I'm always experimenting with something. So I hope this helps you start thinking about how to start your garden this year. I would say the number one thing is to use compost. Make your own compost. Even if you don't have rabbits, just start with things that you would throw away in your kitchen if you're chopping up vegetables. If you were going to throw that away, just put it in your garden instead. Just designate a little area. And the other thing is, don't forget to water your garden as often as it needs. Maybe it's every day, in the morning or evening, so that there's not a whole bunch of evaporation happening. Don't forget to water, and don't forget that it takes a long time. A lot of people will lose interest. They'll stop watering, or just about the time that their plants start to produce food, they'll let it rot because they don't really know what to do with the crops that they grew. So follow along with me on my journey this summer, and I will show you how I make things out of my vegetables too at the end. So I hope this helped. Please put your questions below. Please like and share this video, and I'll see you again soon.